Welcome to the Circle of Trust podcast with your host, law firm CMO Keith Dyer. Brought to you by LEXGRO, the leader in law firm marketing strategy, training, and implementation. If you're ready to grow your law firm with predictable case flow and revenue, you're in the right place.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Circle of Trust podcast. I'm Keith Dyer, your host. Today we have a great guest. Her name is Brittany Lindsay. And Brittany, we talked for a second before we got on here, but tell everybody exactly what kind of law you practice. I see it's family and child advocacy, and she's recently started her firm, but I want to just tell us a little bit about what your firm does now.
Yes, so we take a child-focused approach to all of our cases. I tend to tell people if there's a conflict over a child, please come my way, and I'm sure I can help you. So the blend is anything from a true family law with divorce and paternity to dependency, if DCF happens to get involved, to special education law. So my background started actually as a foster parent, and I put a lot of that learning into my practice and really have spent a lot of time with children and getting to know them and their needs. So as they're going through a lot of these challenges, I try to really take a child-focused approach.
So were you a foster parent yourself, or is that what you're saying?
Yes. My husband and I have been licensed coming up on 9 years now.
Wow. So you developed this passion, or maybe you had it before, or how did that transpire?
So it started with summer camp. I've been involved with the YMCA for a very long time, and youth development is one of their core pillars. So I've always been focused on youth development. And since I was young, I wanted to help kids that didn't have the support that they needed. I started as a camp counselor, at one point was a camp director, then became a foster parent and wanted to help support kids in that way as well.
That's great. And now, does this, if you don't mind me asking, does this stem from any of your own personal background with being a kid or whatever? I think anybody that's Generation X like me, you could probably say you had a much different kind of childhood than the kids that are coming up now. And you're younger than I am. I don't mean to put you in that generation, but I just wonder, did your childhood make you lean in this direction, or did you just see that the need? We probably both, really, that the need was there. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. It did. So my family is a unique one. I have two half sisters. One never really lived with me, and trying to be the peacemaker and building that connection across the bridge is probably what started all of this. My older sister also started caring for kids that weren't hers pretty early. And so I've always seen that compassion in her, where she was raising other kids that needed the help. And when you become aware of the need that's in the community, it makes it a lot easier to want to fill the need. And I've always seen kids that look for mentors or motherly like figures and wanted to help nurture them and find their comfort, whether that be in being a mother capacity or a mentor and guide. That's really always been something I've been passionate about and continue to do.
Yeah, I love that. I also did not come from a traditional type family. My parents were divorced when I was very young. And now, just a long story short, I have an adopted sister, a real full blood brother, whatever you want to call him, and then a half brother, a half sister, and a step brother. And what was cool is my parents, while in the beginning their divorce was a little rough, over time, they became very close friends again. And then my mom became really close friends with my stepmother. And we grew an unorthodox but close family out of all that. My mother just passed last year, and my half sister and half brother were there with her, all of us, the entire time she was in the hospital. They loved her that much, which was really cool. So I like that. I appreciate that you are doing that. Tell us about some of the cases that you take on in your firm and how you execute those.
So my cases vary. I would say a lot of them are divorce and paternity, just because that is a more frequent need in our
Sure.
community. And I like to get people when they're very early in the process so that I can help give good guidance to not make things extremely adversarial if possible. Right? The law is pretty clear.
Right.
And a lot of attorneys are provided their pay based on a billable hour where it's counterintuitive to encourage swift solutions. But with a background in business, I have an MBA as well. I'm very much
Oh,
about
yeah, that's awesome.
the return on investment for my clients and making sure that they understand the financial implications of the decisions that they're making. And so if I can catch them early, I can help them understand their options and educate them. I enjoy having a reasonable client. I think most attorneys do, and coming up with the best possible plan for the child. And if a client approaches me and we align with what is truly best interest of the child, that is my perfect client. Sometimes it's moms early on and they have spent a lot of time with the child and are trying to figure out how to transition that. Sometimes it's dads where they haven't felt as comfortable being the primary parent or stepping into that role that mom has always taken, though they want to. And so, really helping coach them and finding the ways to help them communicate in a collaborative way, if possible, early on, can really help reduce the amount of litigation that they have to go through. However, I'm still going to inform them of their rights, what is reasonable, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable from the other parent, and make sure that they don't feel like they're being pushed around, which is unfortunately what happens a lot of times in family law cases.
Yeah, I got that. So if you had to give some sound bites to people in these situations, what would be some, like maybe a couple of pieces of advice that you would give them, free advice?
I would say you are going to have to co parent with this other person for the rest of your life. And whatever amount of net worth you've been able to accumulate as a partnership, because that's where this usually started, you want to conserve as much of that as possible as you each start your new chapter.
Okay.
So, spending your kids' college fund on attorneys to fight over things that will be not very reasonable may not be the best choice, but sometimes we're put in the situation where we need to respond, and the other side is doing that. So, be prepared, be aware of people's motives because there's a reason that they're doing whatever it is that they're doing. And the more that you can understand the person, the more that you can strategize and really help your child, which is why we're here.
Right. If you know their motivation, then you can much better counter it or negotiate it or whatever because you have much more insight into what they're thinking or doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's you sound like a really great attorney because that's really smart. And a lot of people get caught up in the fight. They get caught up in especially when the emotions are running high. And what you really need to do is almost when I got divorced, unfortunately, I'm a divorcee. When I got divorced, I immediately tried to flip my brain into this being a business transaction, right? And so I tried to minus my emotions out of it. I dealt with those in another way, compartmentalized them, and then had to deal with them. I couldn't ignore them. I had to deal with them. But when it came to the actual transaction of the divorce itself, it was like the dissolution of a business partnership, right? And so, what is it that I want? What is it that she wants? And luckily, this is how lucky I am. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I told her to go away and write down what she wanted, and I would go away and write down what I wanted. Luckily, when we came down and sat down at the table, everything I wanted to give her is what she wanted, and everything she wanted to give is what I wanted. And I'm like, man, maybe we should have stayed together. Anyway, I get that, and I appreciate your approach to it. So you're coming up now on 1 year in business in August. You said August 1st.
Yes.
So we're only 2 weeks away. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You should do something to celebrate that. Do you have any staff?
I do. Yes.
You should have a 2 or 3 hour extra lunch hour on Friday one day and have a little fiesta, because that's a big deal. And it's hard to start a business. It's hard to be in business in general or to stay around for a year. So I congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
So tell us about your firm. Have you grown a little and you got a couple people helping you, or where are you with that?
Yes. So I have a diverse team. I have a bilingual paralegal and firm administrator. And I
That's pretty
have,
important in Florida.
yes, it is. And I'm still actively working on my Spanish. I'm not an expert yet, but I can manage, which is wonderful. I
Spanglish.
have, yes, a little bit more than Spanglish.
I got you. That's
I
not a
have
problem. I can speak Spanglish. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I have a couple of firm admins, and I have a paralegal that is contract as well. And then I have a summer intern who has been phenomenal as well.
Awesome. Nice. Summer interns are always good because if they're really good, they can end up coming back and getting a job with you when they graduate.
Absolutely.
That's great. So you're just getting started. Tell us a little bit about how you're getting your clients. Are you getting them by word of mouth right now, or do you have any marketing that you're doing, even if it's small, or maybe it's bigger? I don't know. How are you getting your clients?
I'm very community focused. A lot of it is word of mouth, but very intentional word of mouth, one to ones with relationship partners in the community. And I also have a social media presence and a Google presence. I think Google is conglomerate that can really help guide your business if you let it. You certainly don't want it to be your enemy. So that has helped quite a bit.
That's true. Yeah.
I and from a social media perspective, that has been really a good focus, just having good child focused content that is not exploitative but is compassionate has been the mission.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just was talking with a lawyer in another practice area. And in that practice area, which happens to be personal injury, it's just not something that people are interested in generally, unless they're injured or they have someone they know or love that's injured. But your practice area is different. I think people are always interested in the interpersonal relationships of other people, and particularly when it comes to children and family matters. So you have something that you can really dig into on social media that people will actually be interested in. So that's good. And it's great that you're taking the time to actually explore that and grow it the best that you can. I think that's smart. So far in growing your business, what have been some of the challenges that you had? And then maybe not particularly in marketing, but if there have been marketing challenges, what are some of those? And if they aren't something you're dealing with right now, is there a sort of a fear that you have, or a thing where you're like, oh, I have to deal with that, but I'll deal with it later kind of thought? Where do you come down on that?
There are always new surprises. And I think that is the most challenging part. When you're a solo attorney, your calendar is everything. And if you have to be in trial or in depositions, having a fire that pops up and making sure that there's a way to manage that and still be very client focused is, I'd say, the most challenging part of business. So, intentional calendar management has helped me work through some of that, and just making sure that I have a really good team that can get to the heart of things and get messages to me if necessary. But I customer service is really important, and I feel like in many law firms they don't lead with that and aren't necessarily obligated to. So because I've led with that, I think my clients have almost always gone away relatively satisfied. And as long as I continue to make that a focus, they're sending more people. And that's what's building the business.
That's great. Do you have goals to grow the firm to be larger, or do you like for it to be where you are right now? I have the answer to this question is really interesting. It really varies. There are some people who are extremely ambitious and want to grow their firm to multi-million dollar businesses, et cetera. And there's a lot of people that say, hey, I love doing what I do, and I don't want to grow any more than I am. I'm fine with what I'm doing. So where do you come down there?
So my goal is to have a team of 5 or 6 attorneys and a managing office person. I care about the management structure and being a good leader. And I think that attempting to manage more than 6 people means you don't have time for all of your team. But I do have the desire to have more attorneys on my team and grow the firm in that way, because I think this approach is unique and needed. And there are a lot of crossover areas of law that can attach. And as one human, I can't deliver the mission as effectively as I would like to. So I do have a goal to grow. And I think as attorneys, we struggle with being able to be human, especially as parents, and having a child focused approach for our team is also important. Not that you have to have a child to be on the team, but that if you do, we have plans in place to help support you as a parent as well, so that you can be present in your child's life, because that's how we build a good community and society of future children.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I love that. More companies should take that approach, I think. I think
It's
people
challenging.
will work harder. Yeah, I think though that if people know that you care, they'll work harder for you most of the time. I think that's the case. That's great. So if you were able to get that many attorneys, that would mean you would have a pretty solid. You need to have a pretty solid growth plan. That's going to be a multi-million dollar a year firm if you got that many attorneys, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you started thinking about how that's going to work for you, like how you're going to grow it and how you're going to build a plan to grow it?
I have a business plan and I've been following that pretty well. I started it when I was in law school, took a specific course for that. And it's actually, I'm outpacing my original plans, which is
That's awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I would say the harder part is preserving the cash flow and just making sure that we have resources to bring on high dollar staff, because attorneys can be expensive and you certainly don't want to commit to someone and not be able to follow through with that commitment. I would obviously never do that. Finding the right timing, the right trajectory, and the right person is the most important part. I have an attorney that works with me now. She is wonderful, and trying to find that balance with her is my first step. But I'm hopeful to hone my skills in working with attorneys and continue to bring the right people onto the team.
Yeah, your background with the MBA certainly helps with that. Is that where you were able to do that? You did that in your MBA program?
Actually, I did it in the law school program, but I applied a lot of my MBA skills. Prior to coming to law school, I knew I wanted to own my firm or own a firm. So this has always been the plan.
I got you. Okay. I like that. That's really cool. So, do you feel like there's anything right now that you're missing in growing the firm? Is there something that you, first of all, let me ask you this. Is there anybody or any coaching program that you're a part of now or have been that have helped you a lot, or any books that you've read that could be shared with our listeners that you think have helped you?
I very much believe in the coaching model. I do have a business coach. I think she's phenomenal and she helps me stay true to my goals as a leader. I have read a few things, not a specific book that I'd really want to recommend, but I am involved in several of the Facebook groups and have networked with a lot of the boss lady women on Facebook. And honestly, seeing the grassroots models has been encouraging. There are a few groups, which sounds crazy to think, oh, go to Facebook and get guidance, but a lot of them have given really good support and guidance and really good ideas. So that's probably where I get a lot of my information.
That's a good place to start for sure, and continue. It's always good to have more people to bounce things off of and to hear what's going on with them. Have you had any challenges, or do you anticipate challenges in your growth, or what are you thinking about with that? Or are you facing challenges as you speak now? Are you in terms of growing the firm and where you want to go?
So I actually have a pretty deep understanding of a marketing concept. Where my biggest challenge is with having that background is making sure that it aligns appropriately and ethically with the bar rules.
Yeah.
Because I care very highly about making sure that I am compliant and ethical in my marketing. But that is honestly a significant contrast to what most marketing approaches would be.
Florida can also be a pretty difficult place to market. However, turning marketing all over the state, it's everywhere. So it can be done. It's just a matter of making sure you know what the rules are and you're putting good, helpful stuff out there. So that's the only thought I have on that. And I've worked with multiple firms. We have firms now that we work with in Florida. And the whole way the Bar Association handles all that, to me, is very clunky. It's not very easy to work through. And also, I don't think it's very easy for them to manage. It doesn't really have a nice flow to it. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Although we have been able to navigate it pretty successfully. And they do respond back on things that we ask. This has been a great conversation, and I really have enjoyed it. I'm excited for you and your firm and your growth. And congratulations again on your year anniversary. And thank you for being a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the Circle of Trust powered by LEXGRO. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow us and leave a review. Want to grow your law firm faster? Book a free strategy call at lexgro.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep innovating. Let's grow with LEXGRO.